So I'm going to do a quick test. This is with the unmodified case. If I'm moving it around, you know, as I'm filming things, this is kind of, you know, what I get. This is just my garage. This is kind of what it sounds like usually. You know, as I'm moving, switching hands or whatever, filming things, it sounds really crinkly and awful. So now I'm going to try modifying it. Alright, so this is a test after removing the, or drilling a hole in the top, for the top mic next to the record button, and on the side where it has the two vents, but don't exactly line up. So I just kind of brushed over it there, but anyway, you know, sometimes if we're moving it around, we're handling, I actually drilled mine out, is what I did, and then just very, very gently trimmed the some of the plastic to kind of make it look a little bit smoother. But yeah, I think that you know, if you can drill it as opposed to Dremmeling it, and no offense to the guys that Dremmeled it, but it does not look very good when I've got my heater going because it's cold in the garage here this morning, but it does not look great when you Dremel it, because Dremmeling in plastic, you have to remember, it's, you know, it's spinning in a directional fashion, so it's going to naturally want to wander, and that's one of the challenges that we have. So that's why I actually stepped it up. I started with a 1/16, went to a 5/64, then a 3/32, then a 7/64, and worked my way all the way up to an 11/64. So that's what I did. I thought that actually worked out pretty well, and it gave me some nice size holes that I will show you here in a second. Now just holding the GoPro, but if you can see what I did here is I literally just drilled in, and that's where that hole is. I marked it on my camera, which with some pen that rubbed off, but that's where the hole is there. And then I drilled a hole in the top, which you can kind of see better that way. That one was a little bit trickier because the mic itself was quite a bit closer to the hole for the recording button, but you know, I think this looks a little bit cleaner than some of the Dremmels, and it serves the same function. So I know some guys also drill out the bottom hole. I did not do that. I think that they say there's a mic down there. I've seen some conflicting stuff on whether or not that's a mic or just a speaker, but at a minimum, these two are where I'm at, and we're obviously going to hear whether or not this is any better. Alright, so this is a sound test of me moving around the camera like I was before. I'm kind of shifting hands as if I was recording something. You know, because obviously I'm going to swing it, I'm moving my hands as I'm doing it, trying to kind of create the same amount of noise that I would be before. You know, maybe even kind of walking with it or whatever, and it's loose in my hand. I am, just so you all know, I'm using the GoPro branded floaty to hold it with, the one that's got the foam handle. So my hope was that would actually make less noise, but as we're moving it around, I'm curious to hear what it sounds like. Alright, so kind of my conclusion after doing this mod is I don't know that the volume gets any better or my voice sounds any less muffled. However, I do think that one of the biggest challenges with the GoPro 5 is that you get this like crinkling and cracking with this case, you know, and with this frame, unfortunately, or the housing, I forget what they're calling it right now, but you really do get that. And with this modification, you still hear your hand touching the case, and I was really trying to make a lot of noise with it, so obviously that's kind of a worst case scenario. But the thing that I think is the best is you don't hear like that loud kind of popping or cracking anymore. And my guess would be is that's maybe when, you know, the mic is really picking up on the case, because frankly the case is covering it, right? This frame is covering it. So that's kind of my thought with this mod. I think it's really a good mod. I think it's something that's worth doing. this is something that's just nice. It's just a nice mod, and I think if you use the drill bits over the Dremel, it just looks a lot cleaner. Remember, when you do drill bits, what you actually want to do is you actually want to step it up. Obviously, these are not the right sizes, but start small and then keep moving your way up until you get what you want. The other kind of tip with plastic, right, is it's really easy just to kind of press your drill bit in there as hard as you can, spin it as fast as you can, pull it back out. Well, it'll actually melt the plastic. So what you actually want to do is go a lot slower than you think and kind of let the drill bit grind away at that plastic. Otherwise you end up melting it, which is, again, one of the issues with a Dremel. I love Dremels. I'm not trying to bash them at all, trust me, but that's one of the other issues that you get with a Dremel is it'll actually melt the plastic, whereas a drill bit will not. And frankly, you get the same result. So hopefully you find this helpful. I think it was something that seemed to work for me. It's not a dramatic increase, but it's enough, and I'm happy with it. I'm just happy to kind of have the a little less crinkling and cracking that you get from the frame covering from the mic, unless there's some other reason that GoPro did it. It just seems like everybody was complaining, and I'm right there with you. So it just seems like an odd thing for them to do and to leave two tiny little vents. Perhaps the thought is that it covers the wind noise or something like that. The other nice part about this, though, is that then if you wanted to, in theory, you could tape over a little bit of fur or something like that to break the wind, and now you actually have your mic holes that you could do that with, as opposed to them being underneath the camera. So hope you found this video helpful. If you do, like or subscribe. I have the name here as The Hobbyist, and that's just because I really enjoy working in the garage. I enjoy working on old cars. I enjoy fly fishing, mountain biking, all of it. And so this is just kind of one of the things that I really enjoy. And to do that, I use a GoPro. And so I'm hoping that this little hack and tip you find it helpful.